Okay, hello again. Let's start or complete our curriculum. Suppose that Unit 5 is the last unit in our curriculum. And the first lesson in it is central angles and measuring arcs. Before dealing what is central angle, I must compare between central angle and inscribed angle. What is the difference between central and inscribed? When I'm talking about, when I'm talking about central angle, this is the angle whose vertex is the center. As you see here, I know that any angle has a center and sides. The central angle, its center is the center of the circle, or the vertex, its vertex. And the two sides of it are two radii in the circle. And as you see, it makes an arc. A part of an arc will be included in the angle. The angle will be opposite to an arc. Okay? But the inscribed angle, this is the angle whose vertex is a point on the circle, any point on the circle, and its sides are two chords in it. So this is, its sides are two radii, but its sides are two chords in the circle. It's the center, in the central is the center of the circle, the vertex of the center, and comes from its name. But here its vertex is any point on the circle. Okay? If I name this angle, I will say AMB. This is a central angle. Its vertex is M, which is M is the center of the circle, and the sides are MA ray and MB ray. Okay? As you see here, the angle AMB, it divides the circle into two arcs. Okay? The first arc AB, and this is called the minor arc. Okay, and I will write it arc AB, and I will put a sign of arc up. You remember when I want to write a line segment, when I'm writing line segment, I'm writing line segment like this. But here, if I want to say an arc, so I will write AB, and I will write arc above it, a small arc. So this angle, or the two sides of the angle, divide the circle into two arcs. They are the minor arc AB, and it is denoted by AB arc, and the major arc AB. There is another one major, this one. But this one, I will not name it AB, I must name it ACB. In order to differentiate between, I need AB, the small one or the big one. Okay, so when I say AB only, I mean the minor one, the one which is the small one opposite to the central angle. But if I say ACB, so I mean the big one, the major one. Okay, so the symbol AB means the minor arc unless there is another stating. And if he say by words the major arc AB, so he means the major arc AB. No need to write ACB. But he didn't say, he didn't mention, he said only AB arc. This means that he wants AB, the small arc. Okay, what about the inscribed angle? Also ACB, this is the inscribed angle. Okay, and AB is the arc opposite to it. Okay, so for each inscribed angle, there is one central angle subtended by the same arc. As you see here, I have a central one and an inscribed one, and they are subtended by one arc. And this is the second lesson. We will explain it next session, inshallah. Its name also the relation between the central and inscribed angle. Okay, so our lesson today mainly about central angle. Okay. Okay, and the opposite figure here, AB is opposite to the central angle AMB, and ACB, as you see, it is opposite to what? It's opposite to the reflex or the reflected angle of AMB. Okay, so I have AB arc and ACB arc. What about if measure angle or the angle AMB is a straight angle? A straight angle means if this is the center, which it will be the vertex of the angle. Straight angle means the angle is 180. If A and B is a straight angle, so AB will be the diameter of the circle. Then as you see, if I put point C here like this example, point C here, and I name the minor arc AB, In this case, AB arc is congruent to ACB arc.
الماينر الصغير صح؟
What?
الماينر هو الصغير صح؟
Yes. But here they are congruent. ACB equal to AB arc, congruent to each one because it is a semicircle. Because the angle here is a straight angle. But for this one, I will name AB as the minor one and ACB is the major arc. Okay, so I can name it AB major arc AB or ACB. Okay? Any questions grade 9 till now?
لا تمام.
Okay, another thing I must know in this lesson, something called the measure of the arc and something called the arc length. What is also the difference between them? I know now that the arc is apart from the circle. If I draw a circle here, so this is an arc. If I draw any central angle, so it makes an arc with the two radii of it. So the circle is divided into some arcs. Okay, if I want to get the measure of the arc, when I say the measure, means I am talking about the degree unit. The arc also will be measured by the measure of the arc, maybe measured by degree or minute or second. The units, the normal units of angles. Okay, so here I have AB is a diameter. Measure of angle AMD 60 degree. Measure of CMB 90. And here I want to know if I want to get measure of arc AD. For example, the measure of the arc, and I will write it like that, measure of arc AB. Like any angle, I was writing the angle measure of angle A. But here, instead of the sign of angle, I will make the sign of the arc above AB, as written here. Here, AD arc. If I want, for example, AD arc, the measure of the arc, it is the measure of the central angle opposite to it, equal to it exactly. And for example, if I want measure AD arc, where is the central angle opposite to it? Where is ya Salma? Which angle is opposite to AD arc?
AMD.
AMD, yes, AMD, the central angle opposite to it, the central. Don't forget that I'm talking about the central. The measure of the arc equals the central angle opposite to it. Because next time we will say another thing about the inscribed. Okay, so measure of AD arc equals the opposite central angle, which is 60 degrees. What about if I want CB arc? The measure of CB arc. Nusayba. Where is the central angle opposite to CB arc, Nusayba? Nusayba left.
CMV?
Yeah. CMB, which is equal to 90 degrees because you told me that MC perpendicular to AB. Okay, thank you, Nusayba. Okay, Ahmed. Ahmed Nagar, are you with us or no? Yeah. Okay, Ahmed, I want arc DC. Arc DC, the small one. Opposite to which
30.
central angle?
30.
Okay, name for me the angle, Ahmed, please.
DMC.
DMC, it is opposite to DMC. And it is not written clearly, but I know that this is a diameter and this is 90, so the other quarter will be 90. I have a part of it 60, so the small part, as Ahmed said, it is 30. 90 minus 60 equals 30, or 180 minus 60 plus 90. You will find that this small one equals 30. Okay, thank you, Ahmed. What about measure AB? As you see, it is semicircle. We said the measure of the semicircle or the arc of the semicircle equals 180 because it is opposite to the straight angle. And the whole circle, the measure of the whole circle equals 360. The whole circle. The measure of the circle, 360. 180 plus 180. Okay, this is the measure of the arc. So it is equal to the measure of the central angle opposite to it. What about the arc length? There is a big difference between when I want the measure of the arc. We said that it is by degree, minute, or second, and the length of the arc. The length of the arc is measured by the unit length, which are meters, centimeters, millimeters, and so on. Okay, so the arc length, it is the part of the circle's circumference proportional with its measure. It has a rule. It is a part. I want this part equal what? In centimeter. You know that when we in grade 5 and I want the circumference, I know that the circumference means the perimeter of the circle. And we did in grade 5 an activity that we make a rope and we divide it into centimeters and then make the curve or the circle, and then we stretch it again to know how many centimeters is the circle. Yeah, the circumference is 2 by r. So here I want a part from the circle, apart from the circumference. An arc, the length of the arc means I want a part, the length of a part. For example, this part, I want the part AD equal how many centimeters from the whole circle. I can get it by a rule which says the length of the arc equal the measure of the arc. Where is the measure of the arc? The measure of the arc, it's equal to the opposite central angle. For AD, for example, if I want the length of AD, it will be 60. What is 60? 60 is the length, the measure of the arc of this arc, 60, over the measure of the whole circle. And this is constant. What is the measure of the whole circle? The measure of the whole circle equals what? 360 times the circumference of the circle. As Jana said, I think, Jana, you said the circumference, right?
No.
Yes, 2 by r. The circumference of any circle equal 2 by r. So to complete the rule, it is 60 over 360 times 2, and by will be given, for example, 3.14, and also the r, the radius or the diameter, one of them will be given 2 by r. For example, if the radius is 7, you will calculate it, and then what is here, it will be centimeter. This is the length of the arc. I have here an exercise or an example here. In the opposite figure, M is the circle, a circle of radius 5, as you see here, radius 5. Measure of arc AB equal 108. Why 108? Because the opposite central angle equal 108. And he wants me to find the length. Miss, he gives me the length 108. No, this is not the length. This is the angle, the measure of the arc, and I want the length of the arc. Who can tell me كده the rule? The rule is not written here. Okay, let's see the participants here who does. Ziad.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me the how to get the length of the arc?
مش عارف.
Don't you remember anything from the rule I have just said?
No.
You were sleeping يا زياد ولا ايه؟
I was in the toilet.
طب اوكي. ملك.
أيوه.
How are you يا ملك?
الحمد لله.
Malak, can you tell me how to get the length of the arc?
مش عارفة.
هي شاهر.
بالنسبة يا ما اعرفش، انا لسه داخل، فلو تعيد الكلام.
لو تعيد الكلام.
I think يا مس هو 2 by r divided الميجر بتاع السيركل.
يا مالك أورجانا بس عشان
جانا، بس أنا حاساها بدي صح؟
مش حاساها. we have just said a rule here. We have just said the rule up. Okay? The length of the arc is what? The length of the arc, I will get it by this rule. The measure of the length of the arc equal the measure of the arc divide the measure of the whole circle times its circumference. He wants the arc length. Substitute
يعني
in the
نسيت
rule.
بس times circumference. نسيت دي.
What يا جنى؟
نسيت بس circumference.
Okay. So again, the one who has just joined, يا شاهر, we have just said that there is a difference between the measure of the arc and the arc length. The measure of the arc, it is the measure of the opposite central angle. What is the central angle equal to is exactly the measure of the arc opposite to it. But the arc length, it is apart from the circumference of the circle. I will get it by this rule. There is a rule to get the arc length. The measure of the arc, which is for this example, if I want the length of DC 30, we have got angle, the measure of the arc DC 30, so it will be 30 over the measure of the circle. The measure of the circle is constant for all circles, 360, times the circumference of the circle. The circumference, we know that the rule of the circumference, 2 by r. So times 2 times L by will be given, maybe 3.14 or 22/7 according to the question. And r will be given also. Like our example here. He gives me here what? He's giving me the radius, which is 5 by 3.14. And also he's giving me the measure of the arc. So what is the problem to get the arc length? So who can help me to get the arc length? No one will help me?
هو الارك لينث
Yes.
equal 108
108
over 360
over 360 times
times 2 by r.
2 by r. 2 constant, L by given 3.14, and
R
L
5.
r given 5. And you will calculate it. It's so easy. But very important to know the rule. Measure of the arc, divide the measure of the whole circle times the circumference, which is 2 by r. Quickly going to this drill. In the opposite figure, two concentric circles. Two concentric means they are having the same center, M, and M. The radius of the minor circle, the small circle, its radius is 7. The major circle, its radius is 14, giving to you by 22/7. I want to complete here. Study the figure well. I have a measure of F ME 50 and XMY also 50. These are the central angles for the opposite arcs. Okay, who is with us again? Lamis. Are you still here, Lamis?
Yes.
Okay, Lamis. Let's complete this drill, Lamis. Measure of arc
Sure.
AB. I'm talking about the minor circle. Equal which arc?
50.
It is equal 50, right? Which other arc equal to 50, Lamis?
EF.
Yes, EF will be 50. Yes, exactly. It's right. But I'm talking now, don't look at the big one. I'm talking about the small circle. He's talking now about the small circle. I want another arc equal to 50 in the small circle.
DC.
DC. Excellent, Lamis. Okay. Then I want to complete the length of AB. We said that the length of AB, arc AB equal the measure of the arc. He's writing for you the measure of the arc 50 over 360. What is 360? The measure of the whole circle times 2 times 22/7 times what? What is missing here?
Radius.
Well, okay, the radius equal what?
7.
7. Then you calculate it to get it in centimeters. Thank you, Lamis. Okay, Shahir, now can you complete the length of CD? Shahir. Yusuf, you have just joined, dear Yusuf. Yusuf. Okay, Salma.
I can answer this.
Okay, Jana.
Okay.
Okay.
يا تبقى هي تبقى 50 over 360
Times.
time 2
Yeah.
لا وبعد كده time 22 over 7
Times what? 2 by r. You said 2 by, what is the radius?
her radius 7
7. So it will be exactly like the length of AB, 50 over 360 times 2 times by 22 over 7 times 7, which is the radius. So it's asking me AB arc congruent or not congruent to CD arc?
congruent.
Congruent. We will do the same in the major circle. He is asking me EF equal to which arc? In the major one, it is equal to XY. And
Yes.
also the measure of EF equal how many degrees? How many degrees the measure of the EF?
50.
Equal 50 also, because the central angle is the same. Although this is a small arc and this is a big one, but the measure of the arcs are the same. The difference will be in the length of the arc. Of course, the length of AB will not be the length of EF because the radii of the two circles are different. Okay? Okay, this meeting will finish in 10 minutes. I will not think that we will finish in 10 minutes. So please, when it finishes, go to the meeting again.
مس شاهر بيقول لحضرتك انه مش هيعرف يكمل عشان النت عنده وحش وهو لسه داخل اصلا ومش فاهم حاجه.
طب okay, no problem. يعني you can wait يا شاهر, maybe you will يعني listen to something or maybe as you like, يعني it's okay. I know that the internet is very, very bad these days. صراحة. Okay, remark. There's a remark here, something called adjacent arcs, like anything adjacent. Adjacent means beside each other. When I'm talking, for example, about a parallelogram, and I want two adjacent ABCD, I want two adjacent angles. So adjacent means beside each other. So A and B are two adjacent angles. B and C are two adjacent angles. C and D and A. When I'm talking about sides, also I can say adjacent sides. What is adjacent sides? Means AB and BC are two adjacent sides. Maybe AD and DC are two adjacent. But when they are opposite sides. AB and DC are opposite sides. When they are beside each other, means adjacent. I want also here to differentiate or to see what is the adjacent arcs. How could I know that they are adjacent? Adjacent arcs means they are in the same circle, but they have only one point common between them. And here in this circle, in the opposite figure, if, I want to name two adjacent arcs, AB and BC. Why they are adjacent arcs? Because they are beside each other and one point in common, which is B. Okay, but can I say the arc AC and the arc BD are adjacent arcs? The arc AC and the arc BD, are they adjacent?
لا.
No. Why?
They're not equal.
No, I didn't say they are equal. Maybe they are not equal, but the condition is they must have one point in common, one point only. Here the common is another arc. There is a common part between AC and BD. There is BC in common, not only point. That's why they are not adjacent. Okay, they have common arc BC, but they don't have common point. Okay?
And it must be 1 point.
Yeah. Yani I can say that the arcs BC and CD are adjacent arcs because there is one point in common, which is C. If I put point E here, So AE and ED are adjacent arcs. But I couldn't say that AD and EC are adjacent because there is no point in common. There is an arc in common. When there is an arc in common, I couldn't name them adjacent arcs.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, this was an important remark. I want to complete this one. In the opposite figure, AB is a diameter in the circle. As you see here, I have measure AMC 60 and measure DMA 40. I want to complete measure of AD arc. يعني another one. فين نسيبة؟ فين سلمى؟ فين أحمد؟ فين؟ Only Jana is answering me. زياد فين؟ لميس. Anyone؟ مالك؟
I'm always here, miss.
Now, when I say مثلا for example أحمد سلمى, I'm waiting for 3 or 4 seconds to answer. Okay, okay, سلمى.
40.
Measure AD arc equal 40 because it is equal to the opposite central angle. So it's equal 40. نسيبة. Measure AC arc.
60.
60. Why 60? Because the central angle opposite to this arc equals 60 degrees. Thank you. زياد.
نعم.
Okay, Ziad, the next one. He wants measure CAD. C, look at what did he want?
equal
CAD
100. measure
equal
measure
100.
CA plus
CA
measure AD.
measure arc AD, which is 40 plus 60 equal 100. Thank you, Ziad. Who else? I must go to the Mahmoud. You are here, ya Mahmoud?
أيوة مس.
يلا يا محمود. Are you with us from the beginning?
Yes.
طب okay, measure BC arc يا محمود. Where is BC arc? BC arc.
ماشي.
Equal what? We said that the measure of the arc equal to the opposite what?
هتبقى AC opposite.
And AC, we said it is opposite to 60, so it is equal 60. AD opposite to 40, so it is equal 40. طب BC opposite, and there is no number written. Can you get this angle?
ACB minus AC.
Yes, اللي هي equal what minus what?
دي
180. He's writing for you 180. This is the whole angle. Minus, we said you said AC. AC equal what?
60.
60. So 180 minus 60, 120.
100.
Okay, and the last thing he want measure DCB. طبعا DCB I can get it by adding. I get measure BC 120, and I have got AC from the beginning 60, and AD I got it 40. I can add them, but he but he wanted here, if I want to complete, he wanted to make it by the opposite one. He want to make it the measure of the whole circle, which is 360, minus the rest, which is BD. يعني both are right طبعا, but in the exam I think we will make it adding the 3 arcs will be 220. Okay, the last thing before we go to the next meeting, AB is a diameter in circle M. CMD equals 70. CMD equals 70. And measure of arc AC 2, there is a ratio between AC arc and the measure of BD arc equal 5 to 6. And I want to find measure ACD arc. And I want, طبعا this will be 70 because it is opposite to 70 degrees, but I have to get AC arc to add them. I want to get it by this ratio. You remember in the first term that if I want to get a ratio, I name it, مثلا, for example, if the ratio مثلا 5 to 6, I say there's a constant number multiplied by it, so I name them 5x and 6x. This was in the first term. So here also I will let, for example, measure of AC arc to be equal 5x and measure of BD arc to be 6x. I will get x then multiplied by 5 or by 6 to get the measures. Okay, what do I have? I have the sum of AC plus CD plus BD equals what?
90.
Equals what?
90? No, 180.
The three angles, this is a semicircle
180.
opposite to a diameter, because he told me that AB is a diameter, 180. So measure of AC arc plus measure of CD arc plus measure of DB arc equal 180. So AC arc, it is 5x. CD arc, it is 70 opposite to the opposite central angle. BD arc, 6x equal 180. And I will complete it as an equation. 5x plus 6x, 11x. 70 will go to the other side. By subtraction, it will be 180 minus 70. So 11x equal 110.